Hello everyone. Today we're going to check your quadratic equations practice. So let's take a look at number 1. So first, remember we want to set this up equal to 0. That's your first step because your solutions are also called zeros. Looking at this, the best strategy is going to be factor using magic X. So magic X has your back, A, B, C. So our B is 7. 1 times 12 is 12. And I can already tell that I'm going to use 3 and 4. So let's factor that. X plus 3 times X plus 4 equals 0. And then to solve, remember we set each factor equal to 0. X plus 4 equals 0, and then solve for X. So on this one, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So we have X equals negative 3, and then we're going to subtract 4 from both sides on this one, so X equals negative 4. So my two zeros, or my solutions, are negative 3 and negative 4. Number 2. For number 2, we have a squared minus 17a plus 30. And remember, we want to set it equal to 0. And looking at this, it again looks like magic X has your back is going to be your best strategy. A, B, C. So B is negative 17. 1 times 30 is 30. And let's find our factors of 30. So we have 1 times 30, 2 times 15, and already I can stop because if I make both of those negative, negative 2 minus 15 gives you negative 17. Negative 2 times negative 15 gives you positive 30. So our two factors are a minus 2 times a minus 15 equals 0. And now to find our solutions, we set each factor up equal to 0. So a minus 2 equals 0, a minus 15 equals 0. So I want to add 2 to both sides here. So a equals 0 plus 2 is 2. And then here I want to add 15 to both sides of the equation. So a equals 0 plus 15 is 15. So the two zeros, or solutions, for this quadratic are 2 and 15. Number 3, I have w squared, minus 81. Remember, we want to set that up equal to 0. Looking at this one, the best strategy is going to be square roots. So I'm going to add 81 to both sides. And I get w squared equals 81. I don't want w, I don't want w squared, I want w. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides to get w equals, the square root of 81 is 9. But remember, we can either have positive or negative 9 as our solution. And remember, you can also write it like this. W equals negative 9, w equals positive 9. Either one of these are ways to write the solutions to this quadratic. Number 4, y squared minus 3y minus 10. Y squared minus 3y minus 10. Remember, what you want to set your equation equal to 0. Since we have a nice trinomial, we're going to use magic X has your back to factor that. A, B, C. B is negative 3. 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. And we can use 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. Oh, very nice. 2 times 5, I want my number to be negative, so 2 minus 5 is negative 3, and 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So my two factors are y plus 2 times y minus 5 equals 0, and now we set each factor up equal to 0. Y plus 2 equals 0, and y minus 5 equals 0. So here we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. So y equals 0 minus 2 is negative 2. For this one, we're going to add 5 to both sides. So y equals 0 plus 5 is 5. So my two zeros or solutions to this equation are -2 and 5. Number 5. See here, number 5, g squared minus 5g minus 24. Remember, we set it up equal to 0. Again, our solutions are called zeros, our solutions to a quadratic equation. And just a quick reminder, having that g squared, x squared, that square is what makes it a quadratic. Magic X looks like the best strategy here. Magic X has your back. So b is -5. 1 times -24 is -24. So let's do 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. There we go. So I'm going to use 3 and 8. I want my answer to be negative. So 3 minus 8 is -5. Yep, 3 times -8 is -24. So let's write our factors. G plus 3 times g minus 8 equals 0. Set those factors up equal to 0. G minus 8 equals 0. And now let's solve for g. So on the first one, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So g equals -3. And now I'm going to add 8 to both sides on this one. So g equals 0 plus 8 is 8. So my two solutions are -3. All right, let's take a look at number 6. So for 6, we have m squared minus 7m. Set that up equal to 0. Looking at this, my strategy that's going to work best here is to factor out my GCM, and that is m. So I'm going to be left with m times m minus 7 equals 0. We want to set each of these factors equal to 0. So the first one's done for us, m equals 0. And on the second one, I need to add 7 to both sides. So m equals 7. So my two zeros are 0 and 7. All right, number 7, 3p squared minus 14p equals 5. So remember, first we want to make sure that we set our equation equal to 0. Since it's equal to 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I get 3p squared minus 14p minus 5, and then 5 minus 5 is 0. Now that I have it set equal to 0, using Magic X and slip and slide will help me factor that. So my b is -14. 3 times -5 is -15. I can already see that 1 and 15 will work for me if I make the 15 negative. So my factors are p plus 1 times p minus 15 equals 0. But remember, I have to slip this 3 down here, slide it over here to get 3p plus 1 times p minus 5 equals 0. Then I want to set each of these factors equal to 0. P minus 5 equals 0. So let's do the one on the left first. So subtract 1 from both sides. You get 3p equals -1. Divide both sides by 3. So our first solution is -1/3. And for our second one, we want to add 5 to both sides. So p equals 0 plus 5 is 5. So my two solutions, or my two zeros, are -1/3 and 5. Number 8. We have 2m squared plus 14 equals 11m. So again, we want to, so first we want to set this equal to 0. Well, right now it equals 11m. So I want to subtract 11m from both sides. And that's going to give me 2m squared minus 11m plus 14 equals 0. So looking at what we have now, magic X with slip and slide will be our best strategy. So B is negative 11. 2 times 14 is 28. So we have 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7, and that's going to work for us if we make both of those negative. Negative 4 minus 7 is negative 11. 2 negatives, 4 times 7 gives us positive 28. So our two factors are m minus 4 times m minus 7 equals 0. But remember, we have to slip that 2 down there. In the first one, 4 divided by 2 simplifies to 2. So m minus 2 times, now I have to slide this 2 over to get 2m minus 7 equals 0. Now let's set each of these factors up to 0. m minus 2 equals 0, 2m minus 7 equals 0. I'm going to add 2 to both sides here. So our first 0 or first solution is 2. For this one, I want to add 7 to both sides. So 2m equals 7. Divide both sides by 2. And my second 0 is 7 over 2. Or if you want to, you can write 3.5. I prefer fractions, and that's usually what you see in math. Number 9, we have 16x squared equals 25. So first we want to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 25. I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. So I get 16x squared. Actually, we can divide both sides by 16, and we get x squared equals 25 over 16. We can take the square root of both sides, so we get our two solutions as positive or negative. What's the square root of 25? It's 5. What's the square root of 16? It's 4. So that's going to be the most straightforward strategy there. So our two solutions are positive 5/4, negative 5/4. And last but not least, let's take a look at number 10. We have 36x equals 9x squared. So looking at this one, I feel like the best strategy is going to be, let's subtract 36x from both sides. And when we do that, we get 0 equals 9x squared minus 36x. Well, I'm going to flip this to make it look like what we're used to. So 9x squared minus 36x equals 0. That's legal mathematically. It's called the reflective property or the reflexive property. Now, I can see two strategies that I can use here. First, I see a greatest common factor of 9x. So I'm going to factor out 9x. I'm going to be left with x minus 4 and equals 0. And then I want to set each of those factors up to 0. So 9x equals 0, and then x minus 4 equals 0. So for this one, I want to divide both sides by 9. So my first solution, or my first 0, is 0. And on this one, I want to add 4 to both sides. So I get x equals 4. So my two solutions, or zeros, are 0 and 4.